good morning. Happy Monday, PSW staff, clients, and friends joining us. Film Scoring Monday. When we look at a scene, I take out the music, and you guys look on Spotify and YouTube and say, what could work here just as well? You know, what's a good choice for us? And we've been doing this a long time. We'll continue to do original, creative work, and then some original scores, at the studio when we're up and running and fully back. Last week, great job on the Goonies. Really good. Just that nice scene of them watching the pirate ship kind of come out of the coast. And then we looked at light music with David Rose, Henry Mancini, Leroy Anderson. These guys were so big in the 50s and 60s. It's like if you didn't listen to the Beatles, or if you didn't listen to the opera or hard jazz, what did you listen to? Well, you listened to light music. The parents did. Television would, variety shows, they would use this kind of music. So that was good to look into light music. Okay, so short week this week because I'll be off Friday. So we'll see your film scoring results for Thursday. Then we're going to look at two saxophonists on Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to revisit some classic ones. So very, very busy week. So today we're gonna look at a director who just passed away a few weeks ago. Very lived a long age though, and we've talked about him, and we're going to look at one of his kind of cool kind of homage to B movies, and we're going to look at a cool scene with not a particularly amazing scene, but the music in this is so beautiful. So today we'll be looking at the 1965 film Alphaville. Alphaville, directed by Godard. Godard died a few weeks ago. We've talked about him, one of the leaders of the French New Wave. We've talked about French New Wave, how they kind of they shot around the streets of Paris. They all of a sudden Godard and Truffaut, they were, and many others, they were the leaders they were huge fans of American cinema, of what the factory system was, and they wanted to do their own kind of personal narrative, personal films. And so they went out on the streets of Paris and shot in their apartments, shot in friends' place, used their friends as actors, and came up with jump cuts and a new way of filming and editing stuff. Godard way more than Truffaut. Truffaut was a little bit more linear of a filmmaker, and Godard kind of deconstructed cinema and all those kind of big terms, that you read about. And we know Truffaut because we scored Jules and Jim, that very famous scene of them running on the bridge, that epitomized the French New Wave, epitomized freedom in the world in the 1960s, or the quest for freedom rather too. Godard has a lot of close-ups, a lot of people talking to the camera, looking at the camera, a lot of these things, as opposed to beautiful other things that he contributed to. A big innovator, kind of like Miles Davis. They were innovators. He was technically he wasn't the best, but he had his own style, and that's true of Miles and of a lot of other artists. He just came to me right now, and so this is like a dystopian kind of. Alphaville is a place, and so this is kind of science fiction-y, but there's no props or anything. It's filmed in the streets of Paris. So nothing, it's futuristic, but there's no special effects of any kind, or special effects props. So it's just shot in Paris and nighttime, a lot of nighttime scenes. Comes out in 1965. What's going on in 65? Civil rights is going on. Lyndon Johnson signs, into law the voting rights, and then Martin Luther King leads the peaceful protest from Selma to Montgomery. So change is happening in America and all over the world. That's gonna, of course, civil rights, 65, Sound of Music, 1965, one of the most famous musicals of all time. And the Beatles are just at the top. This is when the movie album Help comes out. So what's Godard doing filming this little thing in 1965 in Paris? Well, he's combining different genres. B movies, film noir that we looked at. Again, these guys loved American cinema. A lot of film noir in the 40s and 50s that we've talked about. A lot of it originating in Los Angeles, Bunker Hill, and places that we've looked at in our LA classes. So this is Godard's kind of take on it. So Let Me Caution is Eddie Constantine is this great American actor actually, but did a lot of French movies, and so he's he has to go to Alphaville. He's this government agent, and so he's got to go to this place with just dystopian future. A little bit like Blade Runner. We scored that a while ago, even though that comes out, you know, decades later. This evil kind of genius creates Alpha 60, and so this is a computer, and this computer uses mind control over the people that live in Alphaville. So he's sent to destroy this, and also the very Anna Karina, the very lovely Anna Karina is in this, and of course married to Godard for, and they had a very creative partnership because she was his muse in a lot of his movies, so she's in this. And why don't we just take a look at the trailer, because I just kind of told you the plot, but let's just get the feel of the movie with this trailer.
C'était ma première nuit à Alphaville. Mais il me semblait déjà qu'une longue suite de siècles l'avait précédé. Pourquoi les gens ont l'air tristes et sombres?
Vous posez trop de questions, Monsieur Jones.
Quelque chose ne tournait pas rond dans la capitale de cette galaxie. Qu'est-ce qu'ils ont fait? Ils ont été condamnés. C'est le professeur Von Braun qui a organisé tout ça.
Nous ne savons rien.
Vous menacez la sécurité d'Alphaville. Je ne trahirai jamais les pays extérieurs.
Dès que je suis avec vous, j'ai peur.
Vous avez peur de quoi?
Les hommes de votre espèce n'existeront bientôt plus. Vous allez devenir quelque chose de pire que la mort. Vous allez devenir une légende, monsieur le mi-cochon.
So really cool looking, right? It's cool sounds, cool voiceover, that very, you know, voiceover narration. Eddie Constantine's, you know, this kind of scary looking guy, but he's the, you know, kind of the hero that's going to come in and solve this. And so with the scene we're going to look at is really the opening scene when he's checking into the hotel, and it's not particularly, you know, that exciting. There's not adventure. He's just checking into the hotel, and he's kind of taken through various, you know, corridors and all these, and so from an action standpoint, there's really nothing going on. It's a cool filming technique as they're being pulled, as they're following him, kind of pulling backwards back. So you know, somebody's probably pulling, you know, there's no Steadicam invented yet, but you know, filmmakers would come up with other ways. So cinematically it's kind of cool, but a storyline is just him checking in. So why don't we just take a look at the scene without the music and see, like, you know, just to see kind of how plain and ordinary the scene is, and then we'll add the score later. So nice, right? I mean, you get a feel for, okay, it's kind of this lonely old hotel. This could be anything. Not really anything. I mean, it could be a lot of, you don't know the tone, right? And this is early in the movie, so this is going to set up the tone. So this was one of the first scenes, I remember watching this, the first Godard movie I watched, and I remember seeing how beautiful this section of music was. And it took me a long time to find the recording of it. So let's I want you to watch it with the score and tell me what you hear.
Vous êtes fatigué, monsieur? Vous avez envie de dormir, monsieur? C'est par là, monsieur.
vous pouvez vous reposer, monsieur. C'est là, monsieur.
Again, another example of a scene being so much better with the score added. What is that? It's a very haunting waltz, right? So this is composed by Paul Mizrachi, 1908 to 1998. Lived a long life, French composer, but also wrote a lot of popular tunes, like a lot. I mean, in Paris, but classically trained, but by the 30s, great jazz pianist and arranger, but wrote a lot of popular music, and lyrics to them too, in France and Argentina, other countries. So this is, we're gonna have to come up with, I would like to come up with a haunting waltz. Waltz is 3/4, but it's a slow waltz, right? So something haunting. It doesn't have to be a waltz. I know, I'll backtrack, but a haunting, something, a little movement, because he's walking. So, when you choose these songs, I don't want you to just send them over. I want you to choose them and back up this class and see and listen to what you've chosen and watch the scene. You'll know very quickly, oh, no, that's not gonna work. You'll know quickly if it's not gonna work. This is something I hope you do with all your submissions, where when you choose and you send me, before you send me, you have to test it, right? So you have to go back in the class, just a minute ago or 2 minutes ago, and press play on one end and press play on this end and see if it's gonna work. It's subjective, but I want you to find some haunting piece, because he's in this dystopian universe here. He's scared. It could be there's mind control. It's weirdness. It's just, so it's got to be. But it's so moody, this waltz, and it's very haunting. So, and I always loved this piece of music. Very, very. Again, he's just walking into his hotel. So find something that's a very haunting waltz, or a haunting piece of music that could fit probably in this style of black and white 1960s. So have fun with it. This is a really lovely piece of music here that, I don't know, it was just used in this movie really well. Okay, so like I said, short week. So get it into me by tomorrow. I'll let you, Tuesday is fine. Short week. Lester Young tomorrow, and then Ben Webster. So we're going to look at 2 tenor saxophones and listen to their similarities, their differences. Then we'll see your film scoring results for Thursday. I'll be off Friday and Monday, but we'll do film scoring results for film scoring for Tuesday. So don't worry, everything's covered. Don't worry about it. Okay, love you guys, and thanks for watching. Have a great rest of the day, and see you tomorrow. Bye.